work. You have to work. You could be the fastest where you come from. You could be the strongest, it's the smartest, but you have to put it all together. Okay.
Right.
These coaches don't care. They don't care. They don't care because at the end of the day, they put the wrong person on the field. They're going to lose their job. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, and
exactly.
that's basically what it is. So it taught me that hey, no matter what you do, your spot is never safe. No matter what you do, one good game, one good play, everything, it's not going to matter.
Today on the show, former football and track and field athlete and the new general manager for the Memphis Hound Dogs, James Fisher Jr., is up next. Welcome back to the Fifth Quarter Podcast. I'm your host, Sandy Adams, and this is where we dive deep into the world of sports, talking with retired athletes, current athletes, and the people who make the sports world great. Quick reminder, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, Audible, YouTube, and more. If you love what you hear, take a screenshot, share it on Instagram stories, and tag us at 5THQRT Podcast so others can discover these stories as well. Now, grab your iced tea or your coffee, get ready to be motivated and inspired because this is where the real stories are told. Today's guest has been influenced by his deep Texas roots, where grit, discipline, and self-belief are part of the culture. James Fisher Jr. has built a path shaped by competition, resilience, and the drive to create opportunity, much like the Texans have been doing for centuries. His journey reflects that Texas character, earned, not given, built through athletics, strengthened through entrepreneurship, and centered on developing people and organizations along the way. Now calling Memphis home, he is here in the Bluff City to build something new from the ground up as the new general manager of the Memphis Hound Dogs, a 2026 arena football expansion team that is part of the Arena League. James, welcome to the Fifth Quarter.
Thank you so much, Sandy. Thank you for having me.
You are quite welcome. And I have to say on behalf of Memphis, welcome to Memphis.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's probably the best welcome I've had since I've been here.
So how long have you been here?
So it has literally been a month and 3 days. Yeah. March. So I moved just at the beginning of March. Yeah. Yeah. Barely. Yeah.
So I reached out to you probably 2 weeks ago?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yep. Wow. Okay. Literally, you welcome to Memphis. So had you been to Memphis before?
A couple of times. So actually, my first time in Memphis was actually a few years ago. I was here on a business trip, and I was here. I was actually coming through, going to Knoxville and Nashville and visiting all those places. But I actually was really impressed by Memphis, just by the culture and definitely the food and everything else, and just the people. Like it was a very homey feeling. It reminded me of home, honestly.
Well, you could probably pass that along to LeBron James because he's not very well liked in the city right now.
No, he's not. But we're gonna change that. We're gonna change the perspective. That's my job.
So as I said in the intro, you're general manager of the new Memphis Hound Dogs, which is our new expansion team for the Arena League. And we're going to get into that a little bit more, but I do want to ask a little bit about so this is like your first trip actually staying here, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yep. First time. Yep.
Okay. What was your first experience in Memphis like?
The passion for sports, because that was the kind of that just the passion. I mean, everywhere you go, from me getting off the plane, stepping in the airport, literally everybody's either in Memphis Tiger gear, Grizzlies gear, something. Yeah. So you can tell this city's definitely passionate. I mean, literally, you're walking by people in the airport and they're literally stuck to the TV watching the game. So it's just, yeah. So
we are very passionate.
So good or bad. That's always a good thing. Yes, ma'am.
It is, and I've been here. I lived 16 years in Houston, so I do have a little bit of companionship with you. But I grew up in Tennessee and went to school at University of Memphis. It was in Memphis State. And my love of sports was found in those moments and witnessing the city back then in the late 80s, early 90s. People like teachers would stop class, roll in the television to watch the Tigers play. And we do have as much passion for football. My previous guest just wrote a book on the Memphis Showboats from the 1980s.
Yes, I saw that one. Yes, very good interview.
Yeah, and just a fascinating story about that. I got there just as they were going down the tube with the league there. But what drew you first to Memphis and to this specific job?
So that's a crazy story. So me playing, so I knew the league ownership, which is Tommy and Jeff. Tommy's a consultant for Tommy Business Sports, and of course Jeff Holmes, of course, who owns the league. They started these talks back. Oh man, probably about a year ago. Tommy had reached out, and he was, I bug him all the time. You know what I mean? He's like, "Well, I hope you can manage better. Than you can play." So I was like, well, I guess we'll see, Tommy. But back when back in the day, I was always bugging him, like, you know what, I'd like to do something, get back in sports. He's like, oh, well, look, whenever you get some time to really dive into it, because it's gonna be a full time thing. You can't, decide, we're
Right.
looking at different locations. So when he wrote out all the locations, and literally, it was Monroe, Louisiana, Arkansas, a lot of different other places, but. I just had that passion and drive, and he said, "Hey, what do you think about Memphis?" So I was like, "Definitely, definitely, I could definitely do that." He said, "Well, it's
Right.
not going to be easy. These fans they want their football and they want a winning team.
Yeah, we do.
I'll be honest with you. I had forgot about the Express. I had forgot about the showboat. Kind of just floating around. So there's a lot to be rebuilt and just building trust back in the city. But I love challenges, so I wanted to take that on, and it's really needed in the city. And I feel like if I can fix that solution, then it was a perfect job for me. And of course, the city sold itself.
Well, and I am very biased towards the city as well. But, I think what we've been missing is something, basketball tends to end in March, and
Correct.
the Grizzlies are kind of over now as well for the year. And we need something in that spring kind of going into summer. But I got to tell you that the summers here get pretty hot, like in August. But
Now you were in Houston for 16 years. Are you telling me that it's hotter?
no, in Houston, you get like 6 months of 110-degree weather. Here, you get like a month of it. No, I will not take the Houston summers again. No, that was a little too much.
Okay.
Um, and if a side note out there, because I like to be funny when there's a chance, if you can imagine hot bath water, that is how the Gulf of Mexico feels in Houston in July
Yeah.
and August. Uh,
Yeah.
Definitely that. Let's go back. I talked about your Texas roots. Where were you born and raised?
Bryan, Texas. Yep. Yep.
And for
Bryan,
those
Texas.
out there, where is Bryan located near?
Oh, great. So we consider the Great East area. So that's southeast Texas. So literally in College Station, Texas. So it's Bryan College Station. So yeah, Aggie land. So that's where we're at. About a good 100 miles from Houston. So
What was it? Was sports always a part of your life when you were growing up?
always, always. I can't remember a time I didn't. I can remember my earliest days of, oh my gosh. I probably had to start, and I was probably about 5 years old. I was born in '89, so it's about that 94, 95 time that I
You're
started.
making me feel really old right now.
Well, I just had to say that for context of, where we were in the times. But I can remember being put in t-ball, soccer, karate. Of course, football, track.
Right.
We did everything, and sports that just shapes you the way you are. And back then, it wasn't a thing because you were bored. It was because, hey, look, this is something that you really want to do. Like I had to beg my mother, hey.
Really?
Yeah. Well, for her, it was kind of like, okay, look, because she's a realist. She's like, baby, if you're not that good, we're not gonna. My mother,
I already
my,
like her.
no, my mother is she's and we were involved in church as well, and we didn't miss a lot of church and things like that growing up. So it's kind of sports, wasn't the and in Texas, of course, it's football, so
Yes.
a lot of those things, you had the Friday night lights. Of course, sometimes you played on Saturdays as well. That's how big it was. But literally, it shaped my whole life. I can't imagine a year. I played sports probably for the better part of 17 years, and I can't
Right.
remember a year that I didn't play. It molds you. It shapes you. It brings you together. It brings you together with different friends, with different people that you
Mhm.
normally wouldn't associate with. Of course, and it gives you an opportunity and a platform. Well, we call it a platform now, but back then we didn't know it was a platform. But
Right.
it gives you a platform to reach on other things. But definitely, if you're coming out of anywhere in the Brazos Valley area, Bryan area, like you have to have been through sports. Yep.
What's interesting is that what you'll soon learn if you haven't already is Memphis. Yes, we are connected through sports, and it's amazing how many people, all walks of life, religious backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, financial backgrounds, can come together and talk to each other in a public setting about sports. When the teams are doing really well, you can stand in a grocery line and everybody will be talking that probably would never have even spoken to each other. And I
Exactly.
think that is really great about our city and just really bringing the city together. So going into high school,
Mm-hmm.
you told me that you played football and you ran
Uh,
track.
yes, ma'am.
What when you were a freshman in high school, like what were your thoughts about your life after graduation?
Ooh, do you really want to know? I don't. I
Yeah.
don't. Oh, so I
I
mean,
mean, I've
honestly,
had some people that have said, I didn't have a thought about graduation.
that was me. I knew I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to continue playing sports, whether it be something. I knew I wanted to be a college athlete. I knew I wanted to be a college athlete. I didn't know how realistic that was at the time. Because let me just be very honest with you. Where I'm from, like, I, I really, when I think about how good uh, uh, of athletes that we had in my class, and I was,
Right.
it just amazes me how blessed I was to even make it out. Because, I mean, for example, we won my senior year. We won the district championship in track and field, and we did that, and we didn't even have half of our guys that were running. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
that is the
Yeah.
talent,
Yeah.
yeah. And hey, I was on one of those relays too, but but I mean, it's just the amount of talent that comes out of that city. It's kind of hard to fathom that you would make it anywhere because you look at some of the guys that well, he was better than me, but he didn't really go
Right.
anywhere. So that really kind of sets you back, and that happened to me a lot. I looked at a lot of guys that came before me, as a freshman, I'm looking at some of these seniors, and I mean, across the board, football, basketball, baseball,
Right.
and they're putting up crazy numbers. They're getting seen. I mean, there were sometimes we'd be at practice, and of course, you got, college coaches there just looking at them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's very intimidating. But at the same time, it's just like, that gives you motivation, but it also gives you kind of like a realistic expectation to be like, hey, look, if that's the caliber of person that they're looking at, it kind of gives you like, hey, look, you may even figure out where you need to
Right.
fit in, get in to fit in. So.
So going into your senior year, were you
Mhm.
still thinking about going into college and playing football, or were you thinking more about track?
Both. Either way. And so for me, it was going to be either way. So track. So a little bit of background. So track was always my first love and first sport. My
Right.
mom ran track. She's actually from a small town outside of there. She's from Snook, Texas. So they're big on track there. And so that's just what I grew up on. And a little
Right.
bit of little bit of context of that is, man, speed was our thing back in the day. You had to be the
Mhm.
fastest at everything, whether it was the fastest at baseball, football, basketball. Usually the fastest guy was usually that person. So I always tried to be one of those people. But yeah, I grew up playing track, running track. Ran everything. My signature was a 400 meters, so that's what
Right.
I did. Yeah, so I was excited about that. But yeah, but then also it's Texas, so you kind of had to play that football roles as well too. Um, Football was always difficult for me because it was like, one of those things where I really had to try hard. I didn't have to try as hard as track as I did at football. I really had to try hard at football. And it's just, the learning curve for me as far as getting in there, everything was slower. But I was
Right.
always really, really good at, just being a good team player, being a good teammate. And I think that kept me ahead of the game. But going into my senior year, I really, really, I didn't know because I had coaches talking to me about football. Say, hey, look, you're quick. We can get you the size you need. And so that gave me a little bit of motivation to go that way. So it could have gone either way. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a hard question here.
Uh oh.
What do you feel you were not great at when it came to the game of football?
Real talk. I want to help more people like you show up online with confidence, starting with your LinkedIn profile. If your profile still reads like a job history instead of a reflection of who you are now, we need to fix that. I offer a LinkedIn makeover service where I rewrite your headline, your about section, and your experience to tell your story in a way that gets noticed, that showcases your expertise. It's personal, it's real, and it's all about helping you stand out for the right reasons. Book your makeover at sandy-adams.com/LinkedIn, and let's get your profile working for you.
Um, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I think that growing up, watching players that were really great and seeing
Mhm.
what was great in them, I was lacking. And I felt like, to be great, you had to be either like them or better than them. And that just wasn't me at the time. I know, so I played numerous positions, from middle
Right.
school all the way up to high school. And it just like, it felt like, no matter where I wasn't the best or great at that position. So I always had that, whether it be on the defense or offense, whether it be
Right.
running back or receiver. And it was just always like I wasn't the best person on the field. And that kind of ate at you a little bit, you know what I mean? Which is
Right.
okay, but it just like when you're talking about getting, scholarships, things like that. If you're not the best at your position, it kind of eats at you a little bit, and it always kind of gives you a little change in your mind, especially when you're working hard and you're hitting all those reps. You're in the weight room.
Right.
You're not missing practice, and it just kind of sucks sometimes. But eventually, you kind of learn. It's like, hey, look, that's why there is different positions. So
No, that's very true. So what made you ended up playing football at Texas State?
yes, ma'am. Yeah.
What made you do that and not Texas A&M?
Well, I probably couldn't have got into Texas A&M, but definitely Texas State was in it. And so funny thing, it was a different thing. So I'm probably gonna tell you this. I probably never told anybody this. I probably
Oh,
got.
I love these stories.
Oh man, so I will be honest with you. My mother, bless her heart. This is why I don't like to talk about this a lot. I did have a lot of opportunities, but and this is gonna be put out there. My grades, it was just I was not the most studious student ever. I'm gonna be
You're
honest.
not the first person has said that on here at
I,
all.
I think I graduated with a 1.9 GPA from high school, and I'm telling
Right.
you, like I'm embarrassed to say that now, but I'm just telling this for future athletes to understand that you can really cut your legs out from under you if you don't
Yes.
get in academics. And I am a my mother. I mean, she put me in. I mean, I was in Sylvan Learning Center. I was in all these places. She had me doing all kind of things to try. I mean, she would get the community. She had people from church trying to help me just get there. And honestly, it wasn't because of it. It's just because I thought that it didn't really matter. Because you did have coaches and everybody saying, "Oh, you're not going to need algebra. You're not going to need all these things." Right. But but it's kind of one of those things is where like you hear these stories and it's like so I wasn't the most studious person, which I will tell you right now is now more than ever, like just make it go hand in hand. Get some help, figure out what you
Right.
got to do, especially in high school. Because I did feel like I left a lot of people down. I can remember, oh man, I remember like it was yesterday. Um, they almost had a meeting about me as principal. We had it was Miss Carol Coon, Maria Fields, and a couple of the office staff. Chrissy Richards, and they had me in there, and they was like, "Hey, look, you got to get together." And she actually sat me down and had a meeting with me, and it took me 3 tries to pass my test. We have exit.
Right.
Yeah. So they sat me down and they were like, "Hey, look," and they basically gave me basically a agenda to say, hey, look, we need you to do this, this, and this. And they work with me. And it really does take a village. And once you realize that
Okay.
people care about you like that, I didn't want to let them down. So that's why I really buckled down and really started to focus. Mike McCarley, he was my advocacy teacher. And I mean, by God have it, he was a math whiz. I mean, that man, I mean, he's a sorcerer with numbers. And so
Right.
I mean, I was him just talking to me, and I was always like, I think I'm just not getting math. He goes, no, it's not something you're getting. You have to apply yourself. And for somebody to come at, just constantly and constantly, and to this day, I haven't talked to them forever, but I hope they know that I love them to death, and I wouldn't have made it without them. I wouldn't have. It was just one of those things that you never know how much somebody
Right.
cares until they actually have to step and do it, and they all did that. So I can tell you right now that everybody in that school was rooting for me, and that's really how I made it out. So
You know, what I think is important about what you just said is that I believe today, and I hear it. I have a lot of friends who are coaches,
yes, ma'am.
and they talk about how you've got these two sides to every kid that's in sports, and you've got them saying, you need to focus on the game and doing all this, and you can make big strides, and you can make it to the pros, and they are pushing the academic part aside. And I think, almost every athlete I've had on here has talked about how that the academics were really important. And you're not the first person to say that you didn't really focus on that at all. I've had one guy who talked about he did it up through like sophomore in college and then had a wake up call,
Yeah.
And so I think it's important because that message out there is academics, because I've talked to a lot of people who say, if a pro scout or a college scout is looking for you and you don't have the grades, talent alone is not going to get you anywhere.
At all.
And
At
if
all.
it does get you somewhere, it's not going to keep you that way at
No.
all.
And you hear a lot of those stories where the athletes they get a chance to go to college and they don't even make it a semester,
Exactly.
and you know why,
Yes.
and honestly you root for them, and God, you root for them so much just to be like, hey, just make it out, just so we can say we
Yeah.
all made it, because that's how it was back in the day. If one person made it, we all made it. So that was
Right.
just
Right.
I love saying oh my gosh, I knew him, I went to class with him. We've had several guys go pro athletes. We've had Brett Shea, we've had a couple of guys go do really amazing things.
Right.
But in the grand scale of things, you look at how many athletes there are that come out of Bryan College Station, and it's just like I'm just shocked, So, but it does, resources are a big thing as well too, and just getting people out there. But
True.
academics hold a lot of us back.
Yes, and not, there's only so many positions on a pro team
Correct. Right.
and in the league. And I think that kids today forget about that. They don't necessarily see that, every year there's a draft, whether it's football or basketball or baseball or soccer. And, there's only so many positions and people aren't retiring immediately either. So, you've got to pay attention to that. Go ahead.
You want to know a funny story? So
Sure.
there are some schools out there that will take a guy with a 3.8 GPA over a guy who runs a 4.4 any day, just to say, hey, look, we're going to get this guy to help boost our GPA, our team GPA. And that's what a lot of
Yeah.
schools will do. And I will tell you right now, a lot of schools do that. They're like, you know what? We'll take this guy and give him. Well, he's getting academic scholarships anyway, so he doesn't need
Right.
a class scholarship. But he's happy to be on the team. So that's a big thing that people don't understand.
Well, and something I didn't realize until like this past year, and I'm going to get slack for this, but the coaches at Memphis get bonuses based on the GPA of the team. If it's in I think it's a 3-year average or something. Somebody kind of explained it to me, but I didn't realize that, and I don't know how many other schools also focus on that too. But all of our sports at Memphis, they put it out and they average it over a rolling 3-year basis,
Okay.
and you get bonuses off of that.
Mm-hmm. So it's all around. So and that no, Memphis is not the only one.
Yeah.
I would say majority of, I would say probably about 60% of D1 schools do that, and that's to
Yeah.
incentivize the coach that, hey, it's not just about winning and losing technically, but you do have to graduate your guys. So
Right.
coach's four main thing is to recruit, retain, graduate, and educate. That's it. That's
Right.
it. That's all they have to do. Easier said than done, but
Sure.
but that main thing is, yeah, that GPA means a lot, because if it's a public university, we know that's where they get their
Yes.
money from. So,
Exactly.
and if it's a football program, I can tell you right now, they're the breadwinners of the school. So if
Mhm.
you have a low GPA, I mean, they're not going to women's softball asking them because they don't have a problem with that. And that's what I've noticed too. It kind of falters with the bigger sports, the football, the basketball,
Right.
because you go to the lower sports like that. I mean, I know several volleyball schools now, their GPAs right now are 4.0. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They never mention that. But if it's football and they have that 2.8, you're going to hear about it. So,
Yeah. And with the football, there's so many more players on the team
right.
than
Right.
any other sport.
Right.
It's crazy. Okay, so let's talk about you. You went to Texas State. You
Uh,
played football one year. What was that like on the first game?
Scary. Go. I wouldn't. We had the sideline club. So even going further back. So let me tell you how many teams I was cut from.
Okay.
so,
Yes.
so originally, I did actually had a chance to try out for the track team there. Didn't make that, which that was heartbreaking too. So I did try out for that. Didn't make that. That was heartbreaking for me. But yeah. So then they was like, hey, well, you can come play, and I was like, okay, it'll give me a chance to stay, be active and still
Right.
work out to go towards that goal. It was scary. It was scary. D1 athletics, and at that time we were transitioning from the Sun Belt to the WAC. So it's just like, oh my
Right.
God, you know what I mean? So I was like, no, I'm never gonna play. So, so it was just like, okay, do this for. I mean, they had the $60 million Adidas contract and all that, but it gave me the ability to say, hey, work. You have to work.
Mhm.
This is you could be the fastest where you come from. You could be the strongest, it's the smartest, but you have to put it all together. Okay.
Right.
These coaches don't care. They don't care. They don't care, because at the end of the day, they put the wrong person on the field, they're going to lose their job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and
Exactly.
that's basically what it is. So it taught me that, hey, no matter what you do, your spot is never safe. No matter what you do, one good game, one good play, everything, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. You need to do that consistency and really motivation. You have to stand out. Shannon Sharp always says all the time, he always told his coach, he said, hey, I went out there every day he said, hey, give me one reason to keep you every day. Just give me one. Give me one reason to keep you on this
Right.
team every day. Just one. And that's really what I did across the board, even in school, because that was a struggle too. Because also the term student athlete was still attached. So
Yeah.
you had to go to class. You know what I mean? You had to go to class. I mean, I don't know where people get this from, where professors aren't involved, or the coach owns everything, or he has all the say. Nah, if you get an email from your professor saying, hey, he missed class, he didn't do that. Oh, that you're that is probably the worst feeling in the world, knowing, because they'll tell you too. Oh, I emailed coach. I'm like,
Yep.
so yeah, but definitely it teaches you how to manage life. It teaches you how to manage life. First game, like I said, was scary. I didn't play. And actually, that was the I didn't even travel. I wasn't even on a traveling team. So when we came, our first home game was actually homecoming, but it was just scary. Just know, and it was a little surreal at the time. Just like, oh my
Right.
gosh, I'm a football player. But you always want to be out there. You always want to play. And I mean, it is cutthroat as far as even competition in practice. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Wow.
I hear all of those about position people with various positions just competing to see who's going to get first and who's going to get a chance to start. What did that whole year teach you about yourself?
All right, before we get into the next topic, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about something that can really help you level up your personal brand. I've created an exclusive new book called The Visionary Personal Brand Playbook. It's perfect for those of you who have big goals but aren't exactly sure how to make your brand stand out, or for that matter, where to even start. It's packed with actionable tips that you can start using right now, today. If you're interested, head over to my website at sandy-adams.com/playbook and grab your copy. Now back to the show.
They had a lot of growing up to do. It wasn't high school at all.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna call you. I mean, thank gosh if you have a great roommate, if you have some great teammates, they're gonna wake you up in the morning and say, hey, look, get up,
Yeah.
let's eat breakfast before we go. Yeah, I was blessed too, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it's very rare. Everybody is just
Right.
like, nobody's your mom. You know what I mean? Thank gosh, my mom did call me and wait. She did sometimes. She was like, "Are
Ki-
you up yet?" But I
ki-
mean,
ki-
but no, most of the time it's like you got to be an adult. Like you go from 17 to 25
Mhm.
in literally 1 year, and you
Yes.
have no choice. You have to manage schedules, you have to manage classes, communication with coaches if you're not going to do something, and so it was definitely a learning curve for me. So
Um, so when you're in that first year,
Mhm.
had you already declared a major for school?
I had not. I wanted to do criminal justice. I wanted to do criminal justice so bad, but when they're talking to the counselor, Miss Grosky, she told me, she was like, "Ooh, well, you're giving me your strong points academically wise, so let's." And she goes, "So, and this is perfect." So she's like, "Your future. Let's think about your future. What do you want to do? What do you want to do?"
Right.
And I was like, "I don't know." She's like, "Well, what do you do?" And so I never realized. And so this is what's missed now, that I think that a lot of gal counselors aren't doing, is really getting to the deep effects of that person's mindset on what they're applying for, because I went in there just saying, "Hey, look, I want to be a cop. My dad was a sheriff. You know what I mean? I love
Right.
being, I want to do something in forensics. I want to do something in I mean, my mom's favorite show is SVU. So hey, I got to do
Right.
something." So, and they were like, "Well, that's not realistic. So, and I was like, "Why is that?" And she was like, "Okay, well, you might want to do this, but let's pull up the jobs when you get done, right out, and what they're paying." And how
Oh
long it
yeah.
takes to get in there. And she wrote it out for me. And she's like, "Well, you can start out doing this, depending on what area, city, and everything." And I was like, really? And just like you said earlier, somebody, like if you're a forensic investigator, they might have those jobs for 40 or 50 years. I mean, they're
Exactly.
not going anywhere. You know what I mean?
No.
And if it's a smaller town, I mean, you might have, other than elections, if that, you might have police that don't even move around. So that's something that she brought to my attention, and I was shocked. And so I was like, okay, I like to work out, I like sports, I like coaching. So I went
Right.
the exercise science route, not knowing, because when she pulled it up, she goes, "Hey, coaching's like a fraternity." You know what I mean? You're
It
gonna have
is. It
to get in
is.
there and build yourself up. I mean, you might have a couple of friends. Your high school coach maybe help you out, but the thing is, you need to prove to yourself, so that way you can get on a coaching staff. So I went several different routes. I did, thank gosh, graduate with exercise sports science. But I mean, it was a shock, because they said, "Hey, you may have to start out being a PE teacher making $32,000 a year." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Well, that sounds fine with me." And she kind of looked like, "Okay, well, we know where you're from." So I was like, "Hey, that sounds good to me." I was like.
Well, and
So,
that is the reality of it. People, kids see one thing and they think that, oh, I can just start out like that. And I have to say, this current generation, some of them feel a little entitled to
I would say
start
all.
out
I would say
with
all. Yeah.
higher amounts. Like, oh no, it doesn't work that way.
Well, it's. I mean, you think about the NIL. So even going back to high school now, high school is still one of the purest form of sports there is. I mean, you're playing with your friends, your family. So you're literally putting on a show for your family. You know what I mean? And that's what you want to do. You're putting on your show for your family, your
Yeah.
community, and that's the pride that you have. That's the payment that you get. You know, I loved walking in church. Everyone like, oh man, you did amazing. You know, I love going in
Yeah.
class the next day, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, you did this and that, and congratulating the guys, or when the guys came back and won the wrestling championship, we're like, oh my God, these guys are gods. So I mean, and you think about it like that, and it's just like is the purest form.
Sure.
But then you move into other outer levels of the college, the pro level, and it's just like, hey, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And now these kids are like, hey, I want a state championship. I need this, and this. Well, we got was a Coke and some chicken wings. We didn't get we got the two Gatorade Frost when we got done with practice. We didn't have buffets and all that, so it was kind of weird. But yeah, it is definitely across the board. But I mean, it's just the growth of athletics. I'm excited to see where it heads to now that we've got some little structure and some things put out there. But we'll see.
I do think that there's going to be an awakening because, and obviously I pay more attention to basketball than football, but I think there's going to be an awakening because these kids, these young men, young women, well, it's
Mhm.
mostly young men that are pushing the valuation. They're overvaluing themselves and asking for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And, then we look at it as, and I think John Calipari out of Arkansas has
Yes.
talked about this too, and some other coaches about, you know, they will probably never play in the pro leagues. And this is their time to make that money. However, it's probably also their time to spend all that money. And just the whole aspect of that, which I'm not going to get into NIL. I get off on a tangent
We
there.
we can talk about that all day, and trust
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
I'm with you on that one. That's a whole other episode. But yeah, I'm with you
That
on that
is
one. Yeah.
that is. So okay, so um, you're okay. So what happened? You played 1 year of
Yeah.
football at Texas
Mhm.
State, and then
Yep.
you didn't play again.
No. There and the reason.
Was that your decision?
Both, a little bit of both. It was just
Okay,
like, so I wouldn't have passed. So of course, again, we had academic issues,
right.
Yeah. So I was on the team, but I really was, you know what I mean. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, when they come and talk to you, like, hey, look, you got to focus. You got to grow up. You have to
Right.
focus. Like, you're not going to be able to make. And honestly, it had a lot to do with maturity. It really did. It really did. Like, and they were just
You're not the first one to say that either. Not at all.
and I'll be very honest with you. It's just now that I look back at it now, oh gosh, she's gonna see it. I wish I would have listened to my mother as far as trying
Yes.
to. I wish I would have listened to her as far as how to approach these type of situations because I would be honest with you, my mama didn't go to college. She didn't have a degree, but it goes back to man like that woman. I mean, the love that the only reason why I'm here talking to you right now is because of her prayers. I'll be very honest with you. I
Yeah.
don't know how in the world I'm even here, but she even called me the other day. She said, "Hey, I'm praying for you. Just make the best of the situation." I was like, "Yeah, please don't stop doing that." But so no, I really do feel like, because I carried those same habits I did in high school over to college,
Right.
thinking it was going to be the same thing, but it was 10 times worse because instead of somebody saying, hey, you want to go to this house party? It's like, hey, you want to go next door to this, Greek party or something like that. So I just wasn't focused. But the crazy part was I thought I was, but
Yeah.
I just couldn't handle that type of, hey, look, I want to be social. I want to be liked. But, at the same time, it's just like if you're pinned down in books all day, you're thinking, like, oh well, nobody's gonna like me, and nobody's gonna appreciate me. I'm gonna pass it. This moment's gonna go by. So it was just very immature, the immaturity. And so I made a choice and made a choice to step away and just focus on that. And I never really went back on that. So that also gave me motivation too.
Um, I also think that, looking back at it, I think it also built who you are today, really. And you people don't have to play the sport and excel in it to get something out of it. It's
Right.
those lessons where you're going to learn something more from those hard moments than you are from the greatest of moments all the time. And I think that there's a message there that I think a lot of the young kids in Memphis could really listen to, a different perspective and just those kind of things. So you go through the rest of college, and what were your plans for after college?
At that point, I didn't know. I never thought I was depressed. I never thought I had any kind of like
Right.
that. But I guess I was just like, I didn't know what, because at the same time, if you didn't make it at this level, if you're not really, have opportunities, then what do you do? What do you do? And it's kind of like,
Exactly.
I did something my whole life, and it was a little bit, not only that, but the thing that hit me the most was it was just the people that keep asking, how are you doing? How's everything going? What happened?
Yeah.
What happened? And it's kind of like, it sucks. It really does. I lost, and so I lost my father passed away in 2011 on Father's Day, June 19th, 2011 on Father's Day. Um, and that was that I wasn't close to my real father, but of course, the situation that hurt really bad. So I was kind of, and funny about it, he never really got to see me excel like I wanted to. But what
Right.
really hurt me the most was my Sunday school and pastor. He passed away that summer as well too.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of one of those things to where I had known him, Doc, Doc Reese. He was basically like my second father my whole life, and he took on that role a lot too. And I just felt like I wasn't making anybody proud, and my mom would call me and she's like, how's it going? And, I felt like, what do you want to know? Like, what do you know? I'm here. I'm going to
Yeah.
school. I'm doing what you want. It's kind of, you get a attitude about it. It's like, I'm here. What do you want? You know what I mean?
You're going through the motions.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it was kind of traumatic. And even still to this day, like me and her just probably about a couple years ago, were able to talk about these things and how I felt about it and my emotions towards it because I
Right.
didn't want to go home. I didn't go home forever. I didn't go back to Bryan for like 5 or 6 years because I didn't want anybody to stop me or say, "Hey, what are you doing?" That in my mind, people saying, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you up to?" It just kind of irked me because I didn't want to tell them. Hey,
Right.
I'm working a job. I'm in an internship. I'm going to school. It's not as exciting as saying, "Hey, I scored a touchdown last week," or "Hey, I won an invitational last week." And honestly, that's another part of immaturity, and it hurts so bad. Like I felt like, I mean, I had no heart to do anything. My motivation went down, and it hurt. It did. It hurt me in many ways. And honestly, um, just because I wanted to make my everybody proud that helped me. I'm talking about
Sure.
those people that helped me even get out of school, and they're probably thinking
Right.
like, oh, we helped him get out, and he can't even, you know what I mean? So that does hurt. So
You know, you're also not the first one to talk about that. So many of the athletes that I've talked to have talked about, that moment, whether they stop playing in high school, college, or
yeah,
pro, that moment where they just don't have, like, they're always thinking, what am I going to do next?
right.
I have no value now. And then everybody who, I want to say, they're probably trying to live their life through you.
Yeah.
They're trying to get that excitement through you. And people don't realize how they may think those questions are supportive,
Yeah.
but they're actually piling on that pressure
Yeah.
and just emphasizing already how bad you may feel about yourself. And it is a hard period of time to go through, no matter what your age is. And I don't necessarily think it's immaturity as much as it is you're in a situation and you're in a pivot and you've just got to try to figure out who you are and what's next. When I was in Houston, I worked for a nonprofit and I taught career search and networking to engineers who had been laid off during the oil and gas crisis.
Oh wow.
Like so experienced, so intelligent, multiple degrees, things I'd never even thought of, they did, right? And then I have these people in front of me who say they have no value because they lost their job. And in
Yeah.
some ways, I compare that to athletics and to athletes changing after they've stopped playing. You just, and it is a messy part. And that is actually why this podcast was created, to talk about the messy part between who you were and figuring out who you're going to be. And I think that is an important conversation to have. When we started this podcast, I actually started it with a former Memphis basketball player. And he had played for the Harlem Globetrotters, and he talked about how hard it was for all of them when they lost their positions, and whether it was intentional, whether they decided to retire or not, and how they felt lost. They had lost their identity. And that's really how this podcast came about, was because of that conversation that so many people wanted to talk about. And so for you to talk about that too, I love that, because it's a real thing and everybody feels it. It's just in different forms, different ages, and pivoting from different types of situations. So it is important, and it's something that does need to be talked about even more. When did you start feeling like you had found your purpose? Or was that, I mean, because it's not always wake up one morning and say, "Ooh, I know what I'm going to do." It's usually a gradual thing. But do you remember that moment where you just kind of looked around and said, "I'm okay. I like where I am right now"?
Yesterday, no.
Hey,
No, I honestly feel like I'm still creeping to. I I feel like I have a new outlook on life now, and I think it's getting there. And
right,
I'm trying not to let my feelings or everything like that interpret my job now with the guys or anything like that. Or if I see something, I have numerous guys call and text me now in the same situation I was a few years ago. I was like, hey,
right.
make sure your head's on right, please, God, please don't come up here, don't. You know what I mean? And it's just like I see things, I'm looking at their socials, and I'm like, ooh. Hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, ooh,
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Probably how they were looking at me back in the day. They're like, ooh. So yeah, they were yeah, but actually, yeah. I'll tell you what, to be determined. We'll
Okay.
we'll see that. Yeah.
Hey, I feel like that on some days. I feel like I am a work in progress. I don't know if anyone ever gets to a point where they're just like, okay, everything can be great, but I think everybody is still learning. You're
Yeah.
still evolving and you're still changing.
Yeah.
And, every day changes who you are and makes you better for the next day.
Right.
It
Right.
makes you better for the people around you. Okay, so when was the first job that you were actually excited about?
Well, I'll be honest with you. So I graduated, got out. I was super excited. My one of my first job was working as a personal trainer at a gym. Yeah, that was I was super excited about that. Yeah, and I mean I was able to get up. I mean, it's the best of both worlds. You get to live and work out where you work, and I mean you get to meet great people. There's a kind of a stigma about trainers that that there's a there's three things that if people trust you with, you're good. Okay,
Right,
diet, religion, and diet, religion are number two. Okay, but
right.
just their personal body, just in general. If I give you a
Yes.
workout to do, that is everything. And if people trust you with that, that's pretty good. And I had built up a clientele about 70 clients at one point in time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I did good, and actually turned. Of course, I turned that into a career. A business myself. So.
So, how did that business come about? You go from being a personal trainer and then you create this business. So, tell us a little bit about that.
So I was personal training at a gym in Mesquite, and I was able to work for a DO. He was a chiropractor at the time, and he talked about how
Whoa, whoa, whoa. People may not understand what's a
oh
DO.
a chiropractor,
Okay.
a chiropractor. Sorry, and I was his program director for a little bit. And he really taught me the ins and out of the healthcare side of kind of
Yeah.
there's a real thin line between wellness, fitness, and healthcare. And this healthcare is kind of smashed in the middle, and it kind of can
Yeah.
go either ways. And I always thought, and this is crazy. I always thought I was like, man, I don't have a doctor's degree. I don't know how to work with geriatric. And he goes, well, what's your degree? And I said, well, exercise science. He goes, well, yes, you can, because of course you didn't learn in school. I mean, yeah, he showed me the ropes on that, and he was like, yeah, you can make this a good business, and that's when I learned, of course, the insurances and how to like this, how to really just get people to buy into what you're doing. Personal training is one thing, but you're really a counselor, a
Yes.
friend, you're everything. So sometimes they'll come together. I've had workouts where I've talked to people all day, and they're just sitting there. We didn't get a chance to work out because they just want to come and vent about their issue that they're having in life. And I'm just like, okay, so that was really nice to me. And people genuinely, I still have family members to this day. I call family members, clients that I've trained years ago that still call. We talk weekly, daily, and just seeing how their journey's going as well too. But I'm so glad to be a part of that, and that gave me like a breath of fresh air to be a part of their journey and get them to where they need to be. So I was very excited about that.
No, I totally get that. And I say, so personal trainers, bank tellers, I don't know how many people have been to a bank and actually gone in. Bank tellers and bartenders and
Yeah.
hairdressers. Like those are people that people just kind of, especially if they go to you on a regular basis, just for some reason feel the need to confess all their sins to you. And like it's a therapy session.
Right.
And
Or
so
they feel better because they don't have to actually tell the actual pastor. It's like, I'll tell him. He's not
yeah.
gonna tell. They're like, I'll tell him, and because he's probably got some skeletons too. We don't. That's what.
He'll absolve my guilt right now.
Right. I was in church on Easter. I'm scared. I'm sitting there like, well, I don't know. It's funny when they say everybody called to the altar to confess. I'm like, y'all don't want to hear what I got going on. I'm just like,
But it's true though. It really is. Yeah. Okay. So how did that business, like, what was the hardest thing about that business?
getting
That
people to buy in, getting people to buy into what I was trying to accomplish. So I founded Mission Fit Fitness in 2014. So basically what I would do is I would go to corporations and businesses and I would say, hey, look, do you have a wellness program in place? Do you need a person similar? They're like, yeah, sure. And what I was taught was, every company and business is allotted to that through insurances. So if you're not providing an outlet for your staff or your employees to perhaps have a wellness program, you get docked for that at the end of the year. So
wow, I didn't know
yeah,
that either.
yeah. So most businesses you have to provide some kind of wellness program, or most of them you do. You have to provide some kind of wellness program for your staff. As we know, the number one call out and injury of people that are sedentary all day is back injuries, lower back
Right.
pain. Yeah.
Yes.
So I go in there, I specialize with that. So at one point in time, I mean, oh man, I did a seminar for Fuji in Richardson. We had T-Mobile, several small businesses and companies that I was going around. And it became very successful. But yeah, it was a very neat. I mean, we do boot camps. We do boot camps. We do individualized as well. But it's just giving employers something to lean on, saying, "Hey, you have these issues. This is the
Right.
person we can bring in." And it was super successful. I had abs 101, eating for energy, certain courses that we would do on that. And of course, the workout portion, which was really successful. So I'm excited about that, which is my first dabble in business as well, too. So,
Well, because I worked in corporate America for
yeah.
15, 20 years, and um, it's the sedentary
Yes.
position all day long. And typically, if it's not something where you're talking to a lot of people all day long, you're probably eating because you're just kind of, trying to get through the day. And so, back injuries, I can totally get that. And just the lack of exercise in the types of foods you eat. Because let me tell you, 3 o'clock hit, I'd get the Snickers bar and a
Yeah.
Coke.
You're right.
Okay. And every day I do that. And that's a lot of calories and sugar.
Yeah.
To,
People don't understand one. If you ate one M&M right now, you would have to run 100 yards to run off that one M&M.
ooh,
You know that? Yep.
did not,
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not know that. So that's a good service message today. Okay. So how long did that business last and what did you go into next?
Oh my gosh. That business led up to about COVID times. Now in between those times, I was still coaching. I was managing teams as well too, but that was my main
Oh,
business.
wait a minute. You missed over that. You were coaching and managing what teams?
Oh, just small teams around the area. So in Dallas area, I was help coaching several football teams in the area. Actually, the Mesquite Marshals were just getting off the ground. They tried to come back. I was gonna actually be able to manage that team as well too. And several
Were
just
they
teams.
were they semi pros or were this high
Semi-pro,
school?
yeah. This is
Okay,
semi-pro,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
All these semi-pro teams, it was huge. So the DFW actually, oh my gosh. So you're talking about no short of talent there, but there's a lot of semi-pro teams that come and go that make it. And I was a part of several of those teams. They call them like, hey, look, can you come get the guys? And so
Right.
I started out just working out with them. Of course, led into management roles and things like that as well too. So we did that with several teams around the area. I mean, there was the Outlaws, the Marshals. I mean, we had the Bulls at one point before they were the Bulls again. So there's a lot of different teams that we work with. A lot of talent in those areas, but it's ownership wasn't really all that good, so they never really got up off the ground. But some of the best arena teams or IFL teams started in DFW, of course.
So when did you decide to go back and get your master's?
This was 2017. Yep, 2017. Yep, yep.
And what inspired you to do that?
I was actually speaking with several. So I was actually speaking with several doctors at the time. I was working at a clinic at the time, doing a program director as well for rehab research, Texas Institute
Right.
of Sports Medicine and Weight Management, and they
Mhm.
were like, "Hey." physiology, exercise physiology is going to blow up in a couple of years. You may want to look into it because, everything's changing. Because let me just break down how they did this. So they started out with physical education, it went to
Right.
Denise, then it went to exercise science, and now it's exercise physiology. So that's all they did. And depending on where you are, if it was a research university, you were hands on or you were hands off. You did a lot
Sure.
of different things. So what I learned is, giving that said, a lot of things that we did in exercise science, they were hands off. And I needed that extra, because I wanted to move up because I had fell in love with the rehab portion of things in the
Right.
healthcare. So I wanted to move up. So that's why I went back to Midwestern State and got that. Yeah. And they paid for it. So they
Hey,
yeah, they were like,
that's
hey,
that's even
because
better.
they call it an investment in themselves because they wanted me, to continue.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let's move forward. How did you get involved with the people that eventually created the Hound Dogs?
Oh, wow. So man, that was so Tommy Benito, of course, he's the consultant. He's worked with hundreds and
Right.
hundreds of teams. He's everywhere. He's considered the guru of putting these things together. And I actually played for him and his first and then Tim Brown on the inaugural IFL. At the time they were the Desperados. Jerry Jones had them. They were the Desperados. They sold them off, and then it became the Revolution. So they were
So
the
so
Allen
you
Revolution.
you played pro, semi-pro or
No,
pro?
this is
Okay.
IFL. This is pro. Yeah, this is
Okay.
professional.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
you left that part out too.
Well, well, that was a short. So we were getting to that. So actually, so that was a short stint. I'm sorry about that. So if we go back, so right after, so I literally played half a season with them. So how I did that was in 2012, 2013. Actually, another personal trainer, guy that I was working with at the time, he was actually from Mississippi State, and he was going to go try out. And he said, "Hey, look, you should really try." I said, "Look, I'm done with football. I'm depressed. I don't want to do it
Right.
anymore." And he somehow pulled me into there, and it worked
Because
out.
it's better in twos. It's better in pairs.
Yeah, and it happened. So I went with him, and it worked out perfectly. And yeah, actually, I made the team, was on the team. That was, which is very strange to me because me being older, and literally I'm only 2 years older. I graduated 2012 from Texas State, so I
Right.
was only 2 years older. But I felt so much more comfortable in my own body. You're out there with. We had 40-year-olds out there. We had 18-year-olds out there. So
Wow.
yeah. So it was kind of condensed things, but I felt like I was evenly. Remember we going back to high school when I told you
Yes.
you felt like it, but I felt like okay, I was coming into my body now. I felt good. I wasn't so small anymore. I felt comfortable. I had graduated, so it wasn't this huge weight of oh my gosh, if I don't make it,
Right.
I'm gonna have to go back. And of course we don't make a lot. They don't make. I think at
Right.
that time I was making $25 a game. It wasn't.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's not. But yeah, that was my short stint there. Loved it, and that's when I got the A Arena bug. That just the community, people coming out. That is one of the most. So the environment there, it trumped high school for me. It did. It was just the environment when you have grown men walking up to you after events and things like that, saying, "Oh my gosh, man, my son loves you, my wife loves you." I was like, "Really? I don't know you, but that's fine." And so that gives you that. You didn't get that really in high school, but there you did. You put these teams in communities like that. It's
Right.
just instead of like Memphis. Oh, you're local celebrities, and I love that aspect of it. Not celebrity aspect of it, but just the fact that people they support you, they buy in. You know what I mean? I had
Sure.
people they come up to me like, "Hey, look, when you're done playing, if you don't go anywhere, I got a job for you." 6 figures at the time. He's like, "Hey, look, come work for me." Yeah, people just wanted to come up to you, send you up to the job just to visit them. So that was a big thing. So
I would have to think that you said you felt more comfortable in your body. I also would think that you maybe no longer felt like if they didn't keep you, it would be hard.
no, it's because I already went through it before. Like I've already,
Yeah.
so it was already. It's almost like rejection.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because you get used to rejection. You just do. You get used to rejection. I'm not going to say failure, but you get used to you get used to rejection.
Well, it doesn't define you any longer.
Correct. Right.
So for those out there, because I have a wide audience, what is the difference between NFL football and Arena League football?
Well, NFL is the NFL, of course. Yeah, you play 11 on 11. It's but
11. So there are women that watch. So
okay, so
11
11 on 11.
players, 11 players versus 11 players, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
NFL. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And the rules are a little expected. Now, I will tell you in the IFL that so each arena, so the IFL, AAL and a few other leagues, they do actually have kickers. We don't in the arena league. We don't have kickers in the arena league. We throw the ball in our league. So we have
Okay.
throw offs. Yeah. Yeah. But the biggest difference is the number of players. Also, there's a wall, not a sideline. So you don't have out of bounds. You just have so there's a wall there. So there's no out of bounds technically or sidelines in arena ball. So
You just hit a wall.
you hit a wall, and you better learn how to hit it right. Yeah. Hey, until they get you down, they got to get you down. But yeah, so those are some cardinal differences and things like that. Of course, how you do 2-point conversions. We do have 1-point conversions also as well in some leagues.
Okay.
So it just depends on the league, but there are different rules. But that's what makes it so exciting.
Are the fields smaller?
Yes. It's
Okay.
40. So we play on a 50-yard field. Yeah.
Okay. And they're inside or
Inside, of course,
okay.
inside. Yeah,
Okay.
inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to get so much slack from this. It's not that I don't know that,
Yeah.
but I want, because I have people listening and watching from other countries too.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So I want to make sure that everybody understands. So all you guys that are rolling your eyes right now can just, stuff it.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Okay. So then how did, we started off the conversation with, you coming to Memphis like a month
Yes,
and a
ma'am.
half ago. Okay. So how did that whole conversation happen?
The conversation was really, and actually started last year, like almost October, November, kind of led into it. Tommy and Jeff reached out after I made it known that, hey, look, I could possibly do this. And of course, Tommy was like, hey, this is the big leagues, man. He goes, and honestly, I think he thought I was reaching out because I wanted to play. And I was like, no, I don't want to play anymore, brother. So he's like, you sure? He goes, and he was like, so tell me what you've been doing. So he gave me a call, and it was hilarious because when I started telling him, I didn't think I was going to be having much experience because I have ran teams in the past and done,
Right.
management, but not at this level. So he was like, wow, it sounds a lot what you've done can kind of, come. I was like, really?
Right.
He's like, yeah, you've managed, you've owned things. He goes, that's exactly what we need. He goes, and with your background, he goes, yeah, come on, let's do it. And I was like, really? And that confidence just brought me to a whole new high because you don't think about all the things that you do in business relate to that. But guess what?
Yes.
It is a
It,
business.
it
It
is
is
a
a business.
business. It is a business.
So once I
Um,
got outside that athletic mindset of saying, "Oh my gosh, I have to look the role, do the role," it's just like, well, you're not going to be that person anymore. You're going to be the person to find those people that can do that. And I
right.
was like, "That there you go."
Right.
So
I think it's important for young athletes and athletes maybe just going through that career change now to understand that in anyone in job search, now I don't care if you play sports or not, there's so many skills from what you have been doing that translate into what you could be doing. It may not be the same names or the specific things, but there's so many things that translate. And I think people maybe as athletes they just think, oh well, I just played football, how does that even help me get a job? And you really have to dive into what those skill sets are, but you do have to figure out what it is you want to do, and how can that translate into something that to push you forward. What was there ever a hesitation about doing this?
of course, yeah, I didn't want to go through that depression again. I didn't want to be out there and it's just like just drop the ball. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't want. I was just recovering from mentally from
Right.
all the rejection, everything like that. Honestly, I was so excited that hey, I got a degree. I'm out of there. I don't have to do this. So I
Right.
think that's what gave me that motivation. Like let me get out there and see what I can do. If not, I can go back to my 32,000 a year job. you know, so it doesn't matter. But no, but I was there. There was a lot of hesitation. Of course, my mother was like, "Oh man," and her thing was, well, when I mentioned the 40-year-olds, 18-year-olds, she goes, "Well, you better be careful because there's some 40-year-olds." And she goes, "There's some 18-year-olds walking around here with full beards, baby. You got to be upstairs." I was like, "Mom, I'll be all right." But yeah, it was funny. Yeah, so
was
yeah,
there
there's
ever
definitely hesitation.
was there ever a time when you did not want to take the Memphis job?
No, I think I was sold in. I think this has been his most solid of it. I committed before. I literally came down here before I got my official offer. I was like, I moved down here. I told Tom and Jeff, hey, I'm here. I'm here if you need me. I just moved down. He goes,
You
oh.
hadn't even had an official offer after you got here?
Mm-mm. So, well, we knew it was going to happen, but the problem is we were waiting on ownership because, of course, as you
Sure.
know, ownership, and we do have whatever some things going on. But the thing is, like, you never know with these things. Somebody could come in and be like, "Oh, we're going to go a different direction." But hey, I moved down here and I said, "Hey, Jeff, I'm here. Let me get started." He's like, "All right, go ahead." So, yeah. It was one
Oh,
of those commitment things I made to myself because regardless whether I did it or not, I was still going to be affiliated with the team somehow.
Right.
So that was one of the things. But Tommy's had my back the whole time. He's been amazing. And then I had to get that buy-in from Jeff because I will be honest with you. Once again, this league, I mean, if you look at some of our owners, if you look at some of the coaches that we got coming out, this is the real deal. So just to be mentioned in these people, and I mean, just to be affiliated with some of these guys. I mean, Tim Brown's our commissioner. Come on now,
Right.
Tim Brown's our commissioner. I mean, when you talk about Kansas City, I mean, we have, I don't know, have you seen who owns some of the teams or no?
No, I have not.
So just for our day, so we have the Kelsey brothers who have ownership stake in our Kansas City team.
I do know who they
Yeah,
are.
yeah. We have it. Audience, do y'all know who they are? We have other couple of celebrity owners on. They're kind of in the back, but they're there. So you always want to make sure that, hey, look, you're bringing in the right person,
Sure.
in the right demographics and things like that. So Jeff and Tommy, they sat me down. They were like, hey, look, this is, we love you to death, man. But hey, you're gonna have to go hit the ground running. We need to see hustle, leadership, and it's all yours.
Right.
This is your baby. It's birth, so run with it. And so I committed to that, and so far it's been a blessing. So
Okay, so we had the reimagining of the Memphis Showboats
yeah.
last year. So how do you, and it had really low attendance, obviously, for the past, I don't know, 2 years. How do you envision getting the people out to watch a game indoors?
So let's review what we talked about earlier. So we don't have to worry about heat because it's indoor. It's going to be 72 degrees in the Memphis
And
Sports.
I got to tell you, some people tried to get me to go to a Showboats game, and I'm like, I'm not going to go sit in the sun like a raisin. I'm not going to do it. I'm
Well,
not.
that's
I'm
part
not.
of that. I mean, whether you're a track meet or football game, that's just part of the. I mean,
Yeah.
the weather is always going to be part of it. So that just makes it. But inside is neutral. So that's one thing. Two is just community buy-in. So let's get into it. Since I've been here for a month, I've just hit the ground running. I have been to almost 40 or 50 businesses. I've made so many calls. I'm just showing up at schools, just saying, hey, look, I'm here. They have to see how much you care.
Sure.
You
Sure.
can't do a city like that has so much passion for sports like this. And the reason why they do this is because they know, regardless of what they say, somebody's always going to have a team to come. But I think people in Memphis are getting a little tired of that, and I think they're starting to show it with their attendance. I think they are, and it's across the board with a lot of teams. But I can tell you is just community buy-in. My first step getting down here, I didn't want to go look for a coach or players or anything like that. I want to go look for the people in the community that make these decisions. That say, hey, look, I'm going to come to this game, and that's what I've been doing. People, and I'm getting a little flack for it already. It's like, hey, look, why did you sign a coach? Why have you signed players? And I'm like, hey, look. I was at the St. Francis Hospital the other day, making my rounds, just talking to people, just letting them know about what we're doing in the community and how we can
Right.
help them. Supporting our educators, being at some of the events, that to get our faces out there, because you'd be surprised to see how many people didn't even know the showboats were here. So yeah,
Oh, I can imagine that.
yeah.
Yes. And the other thing is that just the buy-in itself, but also you talked about going out there and just hustling. When with the previous guest Keith Wood, we talked about how Pepper Rogers, who was the Showboats coach, how he was like a one-man sales machine. Like he was everywhere. And I actually had a friend of mine who was in college at the time that the Showboats were here, and he said Pepper Rogers actually came to their dorm, into their little community room on the third floor of what was Richardson Towers, is now gone, on University of Memphis campus, and just talk to some of the people that live there.
You
Like
have to.
he would just show up everywhere. I think John Calipari, when he was here, he did the same thing. He would go out and he was just talk to anybody and everybody, because you do have to, get that buy-in. And if we talk about the sports and the media in Memphis, and I know a lot of the media people, yes, it's a male sport. So you're probably going to get more buy-in from the media because it's a male sport and it's football. But still, how do you reach the people that don't listen to all these sports shows, who are not on Twitter, now X? And, I don't think that a lot of people listen to the regular radio anymore. So, how do you reach those people that are out there every day?
I'm it's trial and error. I'm learning at it literally every day. But the main thing is you go to the source, you go to the kids. That is the main thing. It's hard.
That is.
It is so hard. It is so hard. Guess what? when my mother knew all the artists because of me. You know what I mean? She knew that's how you keep on track.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly.
the kids know everything. So, it's getting to them, getting them involved and saying, hey, look, going to these schools and saying, hey, look, have you heard of arena football? Educating them, giving them saying, hey, another avenue. And just basically saying, hey, look, this is something for you to do during the summer, running camps and things like that as well, too. But you got to start with the kids. It all starts with the kids. And if you don't have good buy-in with the kids and an activity for something when they're there, you're going to lose every time because the heart of every community with sports is kids. That's just what it is. Yeah.
Sure, it is. It is. When does the season actually start? When do
May,
they?
May, May 31st is our first. It's a away game in Nebraska. Yep.
Okay. Do you have a coach now?
We are getting ready to announce. Yeah.
Okay, because it's literally okay. Now I'm getting anxiety. That's literally like
Me too.
6 weeks away. Do you have players?
We have players. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You're just gonna.
So I'll be honest with you. It looks cluttered from the outside. But every GM will tell you, every CEO, every ownership tells you, keep everything in house because if something falls through,
Well,
especially
I
with
get that. Yeah.
especially with this town. So if we announce something and it doesn't work out, then it's like, ooh,
Oh
how do we
yeah.
backtrack from that?
Yeah.
So we're wrapping it up and put a bow on it. But everything's flowing very smoothly. Trust me,
Okay.
everything's very organized. Go ahead.
Okay. I just have to ask this. Okay. I don't need to know the players. I don't need to know the
Uh-huh.
coach. But are the ones that you've picked, are they actually like practicing? Like, I don't want you guys to
Oh,
show up the first game and like, oh, we just met each other.
no, they're working together. They know some of them do, some of them don't. You
Okay.
can plug in. You can plug in a couple of them. We'll have tryouts, of course, to get the guys. But most of the guys that we work with, that we have through agencies and things like
Right.
that, they're out there. The agent knows exactly what they're doing. They know their plays, know the type of offense that we're possibly going to put
Okay.
together. But above all, stay ready. Stay ready. That just shows
Okay.
professionalism because I'll tell you in the NFL it's the same way. You might get a guy to get traded before the deadline and he's on the next team. And he's got to figure it out quickly. Micah Parsons did it during the season. There's a couple
Yeah.
guys who had to hurry up and switch teams and hurry up and get it together. But that just shows the professionalism, the type of maturity they have to learn these plays and things. But above all, like I said, we're getting them ready. We're keeping them going.
Okay. When will the first home game be?
June 6th.
Okay.
Mhm.
Still 2 months away. Okay. So, really quickly, and then we'll get back to that. I want to talk. I saw a post on LinkedIn, by the way. I think LinkedIn is a great place to make those because that for people that wonder how I got you on the show, I
Yes.
literally saw, I think I saw the announcement
Yes.
that, and I sent you a connection request and I went and scoped out the bio and I was like, okay, this fits great. I'm just going to go for it. All you had to do was say no or not respond. And believe me, I do get no responses a lot of times.
Oh.
But I mean, that's how that literally, I just asked, hey, you want to come on here and have that conversation about that. So I just lost my train of thought. Oh, the other thing was you just posted the cutest picture of the two little hound dog puppies.
Yes. Yes.
Which are they the official mascots?
They would be the official mascots. Oh
and
my God.
who has them in possession?
I don't want to tell.
Are they there with you right now?
They're not. They're actually up the street right now. They're actually.
Because let me tell you,
No.
I would have been like, you pick those little boogers up and put them on.
And you know what, Stacey? I thought I was like, did you want me to have them on? No. So they're doing training. So they're getting trained right now. They're getting trained. And the reason why is because.
What do you need to train a hound dog? They just sleep all the time, right?
That's what I thought too. These no, Elvis and Presley, no. So I found out the reason why they call them hound dogs all night. Just, just what they do. That's what they do. They just hound all night, and I mean their sense of smell, their sense of keen. It's just very like any little sound, any little thing is like they're up. So, no, they're they're currently right now. So we're gonna use them a lot for our marketing purpose with the kids and everything like that
Sure.
too. So they have to learn to be a little bit more, So they're just going through just that. So we don't have any issues, of course.
We don't want any peeing or pooping inside.
Which is what they do 90,
Yeah.
They're literally 10 weeks and 1 day old. So, yeah.
Okay, where did you get them from?
So we had a deal with, so we did a trade. Well, legally I can't say trade. We didn't trade dogs, but we did. but we have a deal with Petland. And so we went in there and we said, hey, look, we'd like to do something. She's like, oh, cool. You can adopt dogs. And I was like, I was thinking more of the lines, but it came to, we talked a little bit about
You
it.
were thinking more of what now?
I was thinking more along the lines of, well, no, can't you just bring them somewhere? But
Oh.
I was thinking like, oh, when we needed you, just come back.
We'll just borrow them for the afternoon.
It work like that. I was thinking, oh, you can showcase because they have a very big. So I didn't realize out here how the hounds. So you have three groups. You have the beagles, you have the basset hounds, and you have the bloodhounds. Of course, you have some of the different breeds or whatever. So
Yes.
I had to go through a whole little ceremony with that and sit down and like parent school and all that good stuff. I felt it was so awkward. I had to sit down and they were just like, "So you have to love your baby," and I was like, "I'm loving them. They're just." She's like, "Give them a kiss." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So
She actually had you do that?
I didn't do it, but she's like, "Come on now." She goes, "You have to. They have to show that you love them." She goes, "In the first," she said something about in the first couple hours they connect to somebody. You have to really like,
It's true.
And I was
It's
like,
true.
I never realized that, but they did. They're lovable but
They
yeah,
imp- they imprint on you.
correct. That's what she said.
Yes.
Yeah, and their
Yes.
brother and sister. So she said that's
Yes.
another reason why it's hard to separate them. So yes, ma'am.
Yes, I get that. And I will definitely put a picture in here with the two
Oh,
puppies.
okay.
Now, so in the regular time, they're going to be your puppies,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have.
Okay. Okay. Ooh, you got a whole lot to do. You got to manage a team, manage two puppies.
Well, hopefully, I got some. We're hiring staff this week, and so everybody's really excited about rotating and just keeping them in the loop. And
Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
me, I'm wore out already. I got too much stuff going on, but yeah, you'll be seeing them around. Hopefully we can get them up to speed. So.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so where can everybody find information about the Hound Dogs, the team, not the puppies?
So definitely social media. Definitely
Okay.
social media. Be looking for social media. That's where we're doing most of our posting right now.
And
The web,
what are the account names?
Memphis Hound Dogs, at Memphis Hound Dogs on Instagram, Memphis Hound Dogs on Facebook, and then it's Hound Dogs Memphis on Twitter. So, oh,
Okay.
sorry, X. So,
And I still say Twitter. It just seems weird to say
yeah,
X.
me too.
And I'll put all the links in the thing, and then the website.
Yes, it is just memphishounddogs.com. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll put that in there as well. And I believe season tickets are already on sale.
They're already on sale. Deposits, so you can deposit right.
Deposits.
Yeah, deposits right
Okay.
now, and we're
Okay.
actually going to update our system, I believe, too, so to make it easier to. The stadium's coming along beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been out there to the Memphis Sports and Event Center.
So that was the question. I was talking to another friend of mine, and I said the team's going to play in the Memphis Sports and Event Center, which I love, by the way. I love that place. I go to the Nike EYBL tournament
Okay.
when they're in Memphis. It's going to be in the side with the built-in stadium seats, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's
Okay.
called the event. It's called the event side. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So are you putting actual sod or turf down?
Hmm.
Will it stay down through the whole season?
Yes, it will. Yeah, we just agreed
Okay.
with that, so it'll be down to the whole season. Hmm.
Okay. So then they're obviously making money by keeping it down, and so basically they don't need to worry about renting that part out in order to make money
Correct.
because you're not going to be playing there every day, but
Right.
you will be probably practicing.
Mhm. Practicing, and then of course practicing, and then having tournaments as well too. I'm sorry, camps as well too.
Okay, and the camps, will they just be will they be for high school students, or they're
For
for
youth, yeah, for youth, yeah, youth, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
we're still figuring out the ages, but we want to get everybody involved. Like I said, we got to get the kids. So my theory is getting the high school kids out there involved, and everywhere from kindergarten all the way up to come out there and just get involved.
Well, I'm interested. I might have to come to that first game. I'm interested to see.
I hope you would come to.
I'm interested to see how that side gets transformed into an arena football space.
Well, it's a volleyball court, and there's like 6 courts of that, so it's huge. So
I've only been in there when there's basketball tournaments going on.
Gotcha.
So that's why I was kind of like, how's that going to work? But I figured it was the event side with the actual built-in stadium seats.
Yeah. So the field actually only covers. I mean, there's still 10 or 20 yards before you get to the stadium. I mean, the field is not that big at all. So
that's okay. I will. Okay, I will be there for the first game. Okay, so let me ask you this. We're wrapping this up now. If you could go back and talk to a 9-year-old James, if you could go back and talk to your 9-year-old self, what would you say?
Oh man. I'd probably say keep the faith. Don't worry about any. Don't worry about any obstacles. Pray daily. That's just the main thing. Pray daily. Stay close to people that love you, and then never have fear of doing something different. Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. I love that. Okay, a quick flash fire Q&A.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Memphis barbecue or Texas barbecue?
Woo. And now you're gonna LeBron me. You can try.
Because I've had
Okay.
both.
Okay, let me. It is going to be extremely hard to erase 30 something years of Texas palate. So
I, I
I will tell you this right now. I've been to Central Barbecue and a couple others, but somebody says I have to try something else. But as of right now, I got to go with Texas
okay.
just
No,
because.
no, I get it.
But I'm open. I'm open. There's always room for improvement. I haven't seen too many places around here, so you have to show
Okay.
me.
Since I've lived both places,
Okay.
and I'll tell you a little story. When I was in Houston, and I moved there for a man. When I was there, he was cooking brisket. I'd never heard of brisket in my entire life. And I'm like, and I still believe this, you don't barbecue meat. I mean, beef. You barbecue pig. You don't barbecue cow.
Wow, that's
It's and it goes back to that's how I was raised.
okay.
Barbecue is
Yeah.
pig, right? But yeah, I had never heard of brisket at all.
Wow.
And I do like it. I do prefer Memphis barbecue. But what you have to, because cannot have Memphis barbecue without having a barbecue sandwich with the
Mhm.
slaw on the sandwich.
See, that's what they're doing out here. And we don't, it's always on the side. You know what I mean? So
I
it's just,
know. So when I lived in Houston, there's a barbecue place called Red River Barbecue.
okay, yeah,
It's
yeah,
down in League City.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I went in there so much, and I always said I want my slaw on my sandwich, and they were like, we don't do that, and they'd make me buy a little thing of slaw. And so I came in there so much that the owner said, you and several other people keep asking for that, so they actually created a plate called the Memphis plate, which
Mm.
actually has the slaw on the sandwich. Okay. Uh,
Okay. Thank you for pioneering that in Houston.
But the other thing was, when I went in there the first time and I'm looking at the menu, I'm like, it's like reading Greek to me
Yeah,
because it's all like chopped and because we shred it.
right.
Y'all chop it.
Yeah.
There's a difference in the consistency. But anyway, you got to have slaw on your sandwich. That's the only way to truly enjoy a Memphis barbecue sandwich. So,
I will try that next time. So,
okay. Okay. Early morning workout or evening workout?
morning, 4 a.m. every morning.
Okay. Latest movie that you've watched that you loved?
Ooh, F1. I like F1. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
F1, and there's another. Oh man, what did I see? The Last Rodeo. Yeah, I saw that. I like that one too.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What has been most surprising about Memphis?
Uh, the passion and culture again. Like I said,
Okay.
and just the openness of the city. Like and people can say what they want. You can look at the news all the time. It's like that. I haven't had any issues since I've been here, which is surprising. That is surprising in itself. But just the buy-in of the community, yeah, that is surprising because you don't hear that. You don't.
No, you don't at all. Okay. And the last one on game day, do you wear suit or do you wear team gear?
Ooh, depending on the game. So I might start in a suit, whatever, but at the end, if it gets ugly, I might just be in a hoodie and suspend. I always have something extra because I don't know, because I sweat a lot, I move around a lot, and I'm horrible. Like my mom will tell you back in the day, she's like, he couldn't keep an Easter suit clean. Like he was just always doing something, and I'm the same way today. Like I'm gonna get something on my jacket, I can't sit down, so I'm gonna have to. I might just do it for a little bit for a walkthrough, and then after that, I'm gonna have to watch the game. So
Okay. Did you watch the Michigan Yukon game last
I
night?
did, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing game. And Coach Hurley,
Mhm.
his suit is literally falling apart. Okay. But Dusty May, man, he looked cool, calm, and collected.
Right. Yeah.
He had his little pullover on. And I saw a little bit of the press conference after, and I think Hurley was like amazed. He's like, how old is he? Like he looks good. But he's like 49 years old. But
Yeah.
great hair, great head of hair.
Yep.
Just looked calm, cool, and collected. Yeah, it was a great game and all of that. So okay, I get distracted easily. Any last words to the Memphis community out there? Here's your chance.
Hey, just get ready for some good football. Get ready for some good football, exciting football, family, fun environment. You guys deserve this. The city deserves this. You guys deserve this, and now more than ever, we're in the spotlight. So let's make the best of it. So I'm so excited to sit here and represent the 901 and everybody here, and just let everybody know, hey, it's coming. It's coming. Just come out and support. That's all you have to do. That's all. That's all we're looking for is support. So.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. You've been a great source of encouragement, motivation, and I've loved sharing your story with everybody out there. And there you have it. That wraps up today's show. Thank you so much for being with me today. And thank you all for watching and listening, especially if you've made it all the way to this part of the show. I appreciate all your support. Another reminder to subscribe to the show wherever you listen or watch. My mantra is like, share, and review. Follow us on social media at 5THQRT Podcast and follow the Memphis Hound Dogs. Until next time, remember, change is our ally and it paves the way for greatness. Stay inspired. Have a great rest of the week.